Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I never thought I'd find myself sitting alone in our living room, staring at the silence Evelyn left behind. My name is Marcus, I'm 38, and I've been married to Evelyn for 12 years. When we first met, she was magnetic, witty, ambitious, and always full of energy. I like to think I was solid too. A steady career, a dependable guy, always keeping promises and taking care of those I loved. For the first few years, we were inseparable. We laughed together, planned vacations, and shared our dreams without hesitation. Then, somewhere along the 7th year, things started to shift. At first, it was subtle. She'd come home, tired from work, not really speaking. I brushed it off, telling myself she was busy, stressed, or maybe just drained. I still did my part, cooked dinner, made sure the house was in order, asked about her day. But the warmth that once filled our home began to fade. It wasn't until a casual comment from her colleague, Claire, that I started noticing the truth. Evelyn seemed distracted, flustered, almost guilty whenever I brought up work or her meetings. I thought I was imagining things. Maybe it was just paranoia, fueled by late nights and too many quiet dinners. But the signs became harder to ignore. One evening, I walked in early from work, planning to surprise her with dinner I had made. I found her on the couch, scrolling through her phone, her face tense. I sat beside her and said softly, "Hey, Marcus made dinner tonight. Thought you'd like a break." She barely looked at me, her fingers flying over the screen, and muttered, "I'm not hungry." That's when the feeling hit me, the gut punch I had been avoiding. Something was off, something I couldn't fix with flowers, dinners, or heartfelt conversations. I started to notice the stolen glances at her phone, the sudden weekend trips she couldn't explain, the unexplained smiles while texting. And deep down, I didn't want to admit it, but I knew. Weeks later, the confrontation came in a way I could never have prepared for. She handed me a piece of paper with the doctor's note. She was pregnant. Not just that, the father was her boss, her affair carefully concealed until now. My hands went numb. My stomach turned. I could barely breathe. "You expect me to raise this child?" I asked, my voice shaking. She didn't flinch. She looked me in the eyes and said plainly, "I think it's only fair, Marcus. You'll provide stability. You'll help, like you always do." Time seemed to stop. 12 years of marriage, 12 years of trust, loyalty, and love, reduced to one demand that shattered my world. I didn't respond immediately. I left the house that night, driving aimlessly, trying to make sense of betrayal so deep it felt like a physical weight on my chest. Over the next few days, I kept thinking about my options. I tried talking to her, but she had already made up her mind. Every attempt I made to reason, to plead, or even to show anger was met with cold indifference. It wasn't just infidelity. It was the audacity to assume I would silently accept raising another man's child. My anger, my hurt, and my disbelief grew heavier by the hour. I remember one quiet morning, sitting in my car outside our old neighborhood coffee shop, staring at the license plate of a passing car, and realizing something crucial. I had two choices: let myself be trapped in a life that wasn't mine, or take control before I became a ghost in my own home. I knew what I had to do. If you're watching this and believe in standing up for yourself, like and share this story to reach others who might be facing betrayal silently. The first step was filing for divorce. I contacted my attorney, explained the situation, and started documenting everything: conversations, financial records, and evidence of the affair. Evelyn tried to downplay the situation, insisting we could still make it work for the sake of stability. But I couldn't. Stability built on lies wasn't stability, it was a cage. As the legal process began, I had moments of reflection. 12 years of memories, vacations, celebrations, even the small moments of comfort, all tainted by deception. It wasn't the pregnancy itself that hurt most. It was the assumption that I would accept a role in someone else's life while my own marriage crumbled. I had loved Evelyn fully, and the betrayal cut through me like fire. It wasn't easy. Friends and family weighed in, offering advice, sympathy, and, in some cases, judgment. I spoke with my younger brother, James, over the phone one night. He said, "Marcus, you can't rewrite her choices, but you can decide how much she gets to control your life." His words resonated deeply. I had been passive for too long, giving more than I could afford emotionally and mentally. As the days passed, I noticed a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. Relief because I was finally taking action for myself. Emptiness because letting go of someone you once loved unconditionally is a pain no therapy can entirely erase. Yet, every decision I made reinforced a simple truth. No one has the right to dictate your life when trust is gone. Comment below if you've ever faced a betrayal that forced you to make a life-altering decision. I want to hear your story. The divorce proceedings were cold, clinical, and utterly necessary. Evelyn approached it with the same detachment she had shown when confessing the affair. Her lawyer tried to push for a settlement that would have forced me into a role I never agreed to, financially supporting the child of her affair and maintaining a lifestyle that wasn't mine responsibility. I refused to bend. I had learned that compromise wasn't weakness. Silence in the face of exploitation was. During one particularly tense session, Evelyn tried to argue that I should continue covering shared expenses and help with the pregnancy, claiming moral obligation. My attorney reminded her, calmly factually, that I had rights and no one could demand my consent to raise another man's child. Evelyn's face reddened, a mixture of frustration and disbelief, as if the universe itself had betrayed her. I left that session feeling stronger, strangely lighter. For the first time in months, I realized that reclaiming my life wasn't just about ending the marriage. It was about taking control of my identity, my choices, and my future. The betrayal was a wound, yes, but it also illuminated a truth I had ignored. My loyalty had value, and it could no longer be exploited. There were nights, of course, when I replayed memories in my mind. The first time we met at that small bookstore, her laughter echoing as we walked through rain-soaked streets, our kitchen dance routines while making breakfast. But those memories, once bittersweet, began to transform into lessons. They reminded me that love could be beautiful, but it didn't justify enduring disrespect or abandonment. One afternoon, sitting alone in my favorite cafe, I received a message from Evelyn. It was short, almost apologetic in tone. "I didn't think it would come to this. I wanted you to understand." I didn't reply. Her words carried weight, but they weren't enough to erase months of deceit and manipulation. I realized that closure wouldn't come from her acknowledgement. It would come from my own choices and the life I decided to build. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Marcus made the right call, or should he have tried to forgive? Let's discuss the emotions behind difficult decisions. The divorce was finalized a few months later. Legally, I was free. Emotionally, it took longer. But freedom, I discovered, was not just absence of obligation. It was presence of self-respect, a life reclaimed from lies. Evelyn moved on, as I expected she would, and I watched the world shift back into balance. Slowly, deliberately, like the tide receding after a storm. During this time, I began focusing on myself in ways I had neglected for years. I returned to hobbies I had abandoned, strengthened friendships that had been strained under the weight of marital tension, and invested more time in my career and personal goals. The weight of betrayal had been heavy, but it had also revealed an unexpected opportunity, the chance to redefine my life on my own terms. Months later, a casual encounter with someone from my past reminded me of what genuine connection felt like. Emily, a friend from university, reached out after seeing me at a mutual friend's event. Our conversation flowed naturally, laughter returning to the spaces it had long been absent. It wasn't about replacing Evelyn or pretending the past didn't hurt. It was about rediscovering joy, trust, and the capacity for meaningful relationships. Slowly, deliberately, and on my terms. Looking back, I realized the affair, the pregnancy, and the betrayal weren't just crises, they were catalysts. They forced me to confront the reality I had avoided for years. That love, when coupled with manipulation and deceit, was no longer sustainable. Walking away wasn't a failure. It was a statement of integrity, a reclaiming of my dignity. If this story resonates, like, comment your thoughts on handling betrayal, and subscribe for more stories that explore real-life struggles and triumphs. Your engagement helps these lessons reach people who might need them most. Now, when I think of Evelyn, it's not with anger or bitterness. It's with clarity. I gave everything I could to a relationship that no longer had room for honesty or respect. And while it's painful to admit, leaving was the only way to protect myself and the life I still had to live. I've learned that betrayal doesn't have to define you. Your response does. It's easy to feel trapped, to stay out of loyalty, fear, or habit. But freedom and self-respect come from making the choices that honor your own values, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's painful. And that's exactly what I did. The house is quiet now, the emptiness no longer oppressive but liberating. I sleep without the weight of expectation, without the constant reminder of deceit. I look forward, not back, and for the first time in years, I feel in control of my own story.